Today I am here with dancer, choreographer, and instructor Sergia Louise Anderson. Welcome, Sergia.
Hello, thank you.
Sergia has been dancing her whole life, ballet, jazz, contemporary, salsa, ballroom, I'm sure others. But that love of movement translated when you came to do a workshop at the studio that I go to, Love Pole Fitness in Bellingham, Mass. Awesome. It really was an awesome workshop. Sergia is the founder of the Vertitude in Los Angeles first, and then Santa Rosa after that. And in addition to all of those things, Sergia has added mother to the list, which is one of the reasons why we're chatting today. Where are you today? Your beautiful studio in the background.
Yeah, this is the Vertitude Santa Rosa. It's really, really nice space. We love it. It's super beautiful. I didn't actually, in 2017, I didn't really actually know if I was gonna open a studio. I wasn't really planning on it after moving from LA to Northern California, but I guess it was in the cards to do another location. So here we are.
Funny how that happens, right?
Yeah.
So before we dive into your experience as a mother who poles, first, the term of art, a pole mom. When was the first time you heard the term pole mom, if you remember?
Yeah, pole mom. Right when I started into pole, I think that I knew the term pretty soon after that. I started dancing in Los Angeles at B-Spun, and I would consider Amy Guyon, the founder of Pole Sport Organization, my pole mom. And then we've been friends for all these years and got to work together all these years and stuff. Being your first introduction to the teacher who took you under their wing in class, where you first learned to pole and made all those amazing discoveries. I think that's across the board. I feel like a lot of people have that same experience. They find pole and they're like, whoa, okay, life could be like this. This is, there's a huge awakening. So I think pole moms hold a very special place in people's hearts because they remember the nurturing that brought them into pole.
Do you find yourself these days because I know you're the owner of your studio and you're an instructor as well. Are you the pole mom these days, or is someone your pole mom still? I don't know how much you get to be the student.
Unfortunately, I don't get to be a student very often, but every chance I get, I try to, because it's really what I love. I just love being a student. I love being told what to do for an hour or an hour and a half. It really helps me do well at being the entrepreneur and being the teacher that I am. It's really nice to just take a little mental break and try on somebody else's movement. It was really wonderful because when I first opened the Vertitude Santa Rosa, I feel like I was starting with a lot of just really people who were getting to know pole for the first time, which is kind of what I did back into 2011, the Vertitude Los Angeles. It's like you take that first generation of your studio, that group of students, and you get excited because you're just basically thinking ahead, thinking like, oh, I'm creating like all the people that I'm going to pole jam with later. Like I'm creating like my community of polers that we get to jam with. And I feel like it was just this last year and a half for the Vertitude Santa Rosa that it was like I felt like some of those first generation polers from when I opened up Vertitude Santa Rosa are getting to that more advanced level where we can meet for pole jams and they're bringing in a bunch of stuff and I'm not the one kind of feeding everything all the time. That was awesome. I was like, yes, like this is what I worked hard for these years to get you to this place so that you could teach me. Build it and they will come,
Yes. What do you think the best piece of advice that your pole mom ever gave you was?
Well, something that I love about Amy and my experience with Amy and B-Spun from the beginning was, I remember I was just taking classes there like a couple months and I felt like very much a beginner, and I was in that just wonderful land of beginnerhood, which is just such a magical place to be. And it was just like assumed that I was going to be in the next show. She was like, okay, so you're performing. And I'm like, what? No. I'm not really that interested in performing. I just like coming to class. And she was like, okay, so we have you booked to do this routine in the next Pole Show LA and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. I mean, I'd been used to performing in my the other things that I did, like I was an actor and a dancer, commercial dancer and stuff like that. So pole was kind of the first thing that I just was really doing out of just pure joy and fun. And I never really had any intentions of doing any performing or competing with it. But I'm glad that Amy and the Beast Bun crew were like, well, you're performing. We'll see you at the rehearsal. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I'll just come. And then that started like, a career in performing in pole. And that I'm really glad that she pushed me to do that, even though that first performance I was paired with two dancers that were like way better than me. And I was just trying to keep up. I remember I was working so hard because I wanted to be able to do, the other dancers could do a jade and a butterfly, and I couldn't do that yet. So I was like furiously practicing to try to get it for the first show. So it really pushed me, and it was a great place to be surrounded by a lot of people who were better than me because it got me going.
Nice. Yeah. So Amy, your pole mom kind of kicked you out of the nest and was like, you're ready. You're
Everyone
gonna do this.
performs. Wait, we perform here. That's what we do. I was like, okay.
I'm gonna shift gears more to like away from the term pole mom and just more like your life as a mother who poles. What would you say is like the best thing about being a mother who poles? We'll start on the positive.
Woo. Okay. Well, a mother who poles, maybe even more like detailed is kind of like, a studio owner who poles. I'm really lucky because I feel like although it's very, very difficult to be an entrepreneur and there's a lot of things that you trade off for when you decide to go all in on being an entrepreneur, I do get to make my own schedule. So even though I'm on all the time, doing business on my phone, blah, 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 all this stuff, but, at midnight, but I still get to decide when I go to the studio, when I teach, and when I would like to be available for my daughter. And I'm her main caretaker. So there would be no way that I would be able to spend the time with her that I do. And the time with her that I have if I would have been working for somebody else. So I feel really grateful for that. As far as just like a mom who poles, I would say that pole dancing just in general is such a great release and break from being a mom. I feel like now I have so much appreciation for the times that I get to teach. It's not like, oh, I have to go teach now. I'm like, oh God, I get to go teach. I get to go to the studio. How many hours till I get to go to the studio again, And, just free dancing out all of the the craziness and the exhaustion, and being able to see my friends and my students and seeing them, the transformations that they go through is very inspiring. So I really, in so many ways, the studio and pole dancing and I think really helps me stay sane.
When I was working on the blog, I really tried to talk to people of various levels of experience, various levels of pole celebrity. They all said the same thing, that coming to the space, it's their space, and they love the opportunity to just be there. So I have a couple of people who come in and they're like, I am going to lay here, and if I move, that's a bonus. Just that nobody needs me is awesome. Then I have other
no one's
people
calling my name.
Yeah, no one calling my name. So, and then other people, kick in the door and they're like, I've been waiting for this all week. Let's go. So it's like just the space to be there and to be seems to be really important. And the other thing that people spoke about a lot, and I'm sharing this only because I don't know if you've had a similar experience, is that it seems to be that pole more than any other workout gave people back a sense of themselves. So I don't know if that resonates with you at all, or if it's something you'd like to comment on.
Yeah. I think that I am absolutely a better and more present mother because I have pole in my life, because I have a place to go where I can be all sides of myself. You really play this very specific role when you're with your kids, and to be able to kind of shake that off and embody the different parts of yourself, and remember that, you know, even though I'm a 39-year-old mom, I'm a woman, I'm a person. I have feelings. I'm a sexual and sensual being, and I need other adults to speak to. I need to move my body. I need to not be hunched forward, like looking in my child's eyes, asking her how everything is. I need to be able to stand up, roll my shoulders back, and like walk around the room. Um, so yeah, I think that it's a really great built-in, just like, you know, just like brushing your teeth. You gotta check in with yourself. You got to check in with yourself. It's a great way to like force yourself to check in with yourself. And that's one thing about pole that I think I've also heard a lot of other people say, is that it's like, you know, it really forces you to be present when you're working on like a new trick or even a piece of choreography. It really just brings you into the present. It's kind of like surfing. It's like you have to be there now. You can't be thinking about all those other things. You can just go in there and just take a mini break. Pole really forces you into a place where you have to have full attention. And even just an hour of that, you know, it's kind of an island in the middle of a week, you know.
I have to laugh because we just had like our holiday jam at our studio, and our studio owner Tobin, she's my pole mom, and she has kids, and two of her kids were with us at the jam, you know,
I think I
having
remember she was super preggo when I came to visit.
Yes, she
Yeah.
was, and she's had another since then.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
she's got 3 total. She was super
Amazing.
prego then, yes. And so at this pole jam, she's got 2 of her 3 running around going, you know, mom, look, everything they do, mom, look. So then I'm, you know, start working on a trick, and I did it, and I'm like, Tobin, look, Tobin, look. Not even as a joke, but I heard myself, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, so between being their mom and my pole mom, I said, you hear mom look all day. She's like, yep. And I'm always looking, and I always
That's so true. Whether you're at home or whether you're at the studio.
Yep. Hey,
Look
I
at
did
me,
it.
look at me. I did it, look at me.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I asked about the best things, but what would you say is your biggest challenge being a mother who poles? As I lean up against the wall, like my glamorous office.
Let's hear it. I mean, I have to say that I'm very clearly in a season of my life where pole and my own training and my own creativity has had to take a back burner to motherhood. So absolutely, do I miss parts of that? Yes. I mean, right now it really just feels like I somehow piece together a little bit of training here, a little bit of training there, but mostly I'm just working, mostly I'm just teaching. But I know that it's a season of my life, and I know, you know, having a 2-year-old right now, like I'm in it, and these are the years where, you know, I'm in it, you know, and that I chose to be in it for her. You know, she's you know, she's still very, very attached to me, and we're still breastfeeding. And so I'm glad that I've done it that way, but also it can be a lot. And for sure, you know, I run the studio, I teach in the studio, but there really isn't any time for me to train. I get a huge kick out of being providing the space and the culture for other people to really utilize. So that brings me a lot of joy too. So even if I can't be around for the holiday jams, or even if I can't be around for this class or that class or this get together or that showcase or whatever, it still brings me a lot of joy to know that I'm creating the space and the ability for others to make transformations in their life. I know it brings a lot of joy to a lot of people. So, you know, I know this is a season, and I know that as my little one gets older, my relationship to pole is going to change again. You know, and, you know, this has been a really crazy time with the pandemic.
Yeah, just in case like people forgot, there's still a global pandemic going on. So
yeah, it was really strange the way I mean, I just got kind of like a full force shove from running. We had just actually built out another space, and then the pandemic in January, the pandemic hit in March, and then they closed in California. They closed us down for 8 months. We lost our lease. We had to pay out some of the lease to get out of that space we just built out. And then we were closed for, from from March all the way till May of the following year. So we ended up, just kind of scraping back and trying to find a sublease and then find another sublease and make it happen. Finally, we ended up in this new home. But, that was a lot. That was kind of when I also put a huge attention towards turning my pole dance foundations, my beginner course, into an online experience where there's monthly coaching calls and Facebook group and a course portal and stuff like that. Because when that pandemic hit, my whole income just disappeared.
Just the bottom dropped out. Yep.
Yeah. So then I became, full-time stay-at-home mom, and my space was taken from me. Friends were taken from me. So pandemic was a hard time. And I feel like it was about February of that year where I feel like I was just coming out of the postpartum haze. And I was just starting to get back on the pole again. I was just starting to go back in the studio again and do a lot of teaching. I was just starting to make some more time to dance. And then the pandemic hit, and then it was all bets were off. Being in that postpartum situation with my body, making my way back, and then boom, pandemic hit, and it was pulled back into, just this haze of then survival in the pandemic with a 2-year-old and not a lot of childcare support. And then now stepping out of that again,
stepping into it cautiously, please.
Yeah.
Don't pull the rug
easy,
out.
nice and easy. Nobody move too fast.
Yes. I do want to take a verbal highlighter to your idea of seasons. I love that so much. I'm going to take that with me, that this is the season you're in right now. Cause you're so right. Pole will always be there, and you will always be there for your daughter, but there are seasons to these things. And I like that. I like that a lot. One of the things I was going to ask you about is that, at least when I know you traveled to do workshops, you were traveling heavily to do performances, comps, and workshops. And that's how I got to do a workshop with you. And my question was going to be has motherhood changed that? But then I was scratch. Probably the pandemic changed that. And the question I was looking for, I couldn't really shape too well. But I think what I wonder is maybe you can't just go on tour anymore. Maybe it's because of the pandemic, or maybe it's because you want to be at home. Do you care though? You have so many things going on at home. Do you even miss being out on the road on tour?
Oh yeah, that's such a great question. Yeah, I feel what a different life I was living just, 4 or 5 years ago compared to now. I opened my studio in Los Angeles in 2011. I think I was pretty much full-time on the road from probably about 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, from probably about 2013 to 2017. And so that was just, I was barely home. I was just teaching all over the world, and that was a lot of fun and really incredible. I can't believe that pole was the thing that allowed me to see the world in the way that I got to, which was super, super awesome. And I feel I just have pole family all around the world. It's just wonderful. It's no matter where you go, you walk into a pole studio and you're okay, yeah, I'm home. We cool. Yep. Doesn't matter where in the world you are, you're yes, everyone is so nerdy here and here to learn and here to soak up and just get in it. So that was just lovely. I'm just wonderful. Just, over 30 countries, just amazing experiences and friends, and just, it was fantastic. I think I had it in my head that I would have a family, but then I would focus more on touring in the US, because I did a lot of out of US touring for so long. And I was well, maybe once I have my baby and I can consider maybe doing some more US tours and stuff like that. But it really, with the way that the world is right now, I'm just kind of trying to love exactly what is, deal with exactly what is. Would I like to go out there and teach again? Yeah, I think so. Although I would say that the last couple of years that I was on the road, I just saw so many amazing things and did so many amazing things that sometimes I was just wow, here I am in Queenstown, New Zealand, looking at the coolest view I've ever seen in my life. And man, y'all seeing this? It got a little bit like, wouldn't it be nice to like do this with somebody?
Yes.
And like wonderful adventures, but also like, yeah, I can get a little bit lonely. So I was ready. Very ready to start my pregnancy journey. My pregnancy journey wasn't a super smooth one. I went in and I actually had 2 miscarriages, and then after that had a pretty high risk pregnancy. So you have it in your head, like, I'm going to be this active, like pregnant, woman and still do all my pole. And that was not the reality for me. I was placed on exercise rest, and I was not allowed to do much movement because I had a full placenta previa, which is like super, you don't want to jolt things around too much because y'all could bleed out and everything could be not so good for both you and the baby. So it was a pretty traumatizing experience for me, I'd say. And there's all that anger, like, why can't I be the one that didn't have the miscarriages? Why can't I be the one that didn't have like bed rest during my pregnancy? And then you meet your daughter and you're like, okay.
Just personally like to say I'm so sorry for everything that you went through. I know that the end result is totally worth it, but my heart went out because you shared what you shared a lot of your pregnancy journey. I saw on Instagram, and I'm like, oh my God, like what do I say? What do you do? And I think you really helped a lot of people by telling a different story, a story that people don't usually tell. And I know that resonated with a lot of people. So thank you for sharing that and for commenting on it today too. What do you wish people knew about being a mother who poles?
I'm not going to pretend like I have the answers. This is just my personal experience with this, and every mother and every child and every family is going to have a completely different experience when it comes to, building their own family, and having pole dance as a love as well. So, don't take this as, this is the way it goes. I'm really grateful for everything that I have. And I love the life that I have built, and I know that everything happens exactly how it's supposed to, or how it has supposed to for me. But I would say that it's pretty normal. I'm sure probably a lot of moms will band with me on this one. Most days I'm like, oh God, I'm not cut out for this. Like, I can't do this. Like most of the time, like I would say that it's just a runaway train. Every once in a while I can pull back and go, okay, we good. Like, this is nice. Like, you know what? Everything is actually exactly the way that I would want it to be. But I would say that most of the time I just feel like I'm just running after a train that is pulling out of the station. And I'm sure a lot of moms can probably relate to that. So if you're a mom out there and you're like, I feel like I don't have it figured out, I'm always behind, I'm never accomplishing to be the mom that I want to be. I'm never having the time to put into my own training well, you know what? You're not alone, girl. Like,
I feel like I'm running to catch that train too, with running a business, or even just like, oh my God, if you walked outside my office right now and saw the disaster that is my house. And I think a lot of people feel that way. And so thank you for saying that.
Yeah, like this is good because I am not the mom who is at the peak of my training right now. I'm not the mom who comes to every gathering with all the amazing cookies made and the cute outfit and the full face of makeup. Like, I'm not that mom. And like, that's okay. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, that's, and I don't know if I would want to be that mom, mm-hmm. because it doesn't feel authentic to me in my experience. Most of the time I'm stumbling into the studio, like with a coffee, like, oh, I'm so glad to be here. Oh, so nice to see you guys. Can we move our fucking bodies? Yes, let's do that. Let's do that right now. We've got an hour. Come on. And then I'm like, bye. I'm going to go back into toddler land. I'll see you in a few days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's just, I'm like a completely different life. Got the mom bun up and, I'm just trying to figure out how to get her better, to get her to bed peacefully and get her to brush her teeth and all the mom things. So, it's not glamour, but it's important stuff. And, I like to think that, my daughter is taking and learning lessons from this time in my life too. And it is important for me to be able to say goodbye to her and say, mommy's leaving now and I'm going to go teach a couple classes. I'll be back. You'll be fine with your daddy. You'll be fine with your grandma for a couple hours. Have a great time. And this is something that's interesting that maybe some of your pole moms will relate to. I've got a 2-year-old, so maybe this is specific, but around my little girl around me is very clingy, very whiny, very mom, 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 mom. And then I see her around any other caretaker, her dad, my grandma, babysitters, and she's just this chipper, happy-go-lucky, having a good time. And I'm like, wow, okay, so I'm so happy for that. And I'm also happy that she feels safe enough with me to completely lose her shit for all the time she spends with me. That's my job right now. My job is to be the one, the one that deals with all that stuff as patiently and as caring as I can. That's why it's like when they're like, oh, but everyone else gets to do all these fun things with her. I'm like, good, go do fun things. I'm the one that just sits and breastfeeds and holds you and rocks you and makes you feel safe and comfy at home, and that, and talks about your feelings. Like, okay, that's who I am in your life right now, and that's okay. So, it's not all rainbow and butterflies, but God, I'm glad I have pole in my life and my pole friends. And the thrill of trying new things on the pole and making things on the pole, and even a lot of the choreography, any choreography I do these days is for my students. I'm not really performing it. But still, just to have that outlet, it makes me a better person, a better mom, a more balanced human, for sure.
Absolutely. Some of the moms I talked to talked about time being an obstacle, being able to get out of the house, even finding care for their children, where it was like one person I talked to called it household politics. Like, I'll watch the kids so that you can do this later. And it was like trading time. I feel a big responsibility as the instructor when a mom comes to my class and she's like, all right, sorry, I'm a little late. The babysitter was late, but I'm here. Because then in my head, I'm like, you paid double to be here. So you paid a babysitter and paid to be here. So then I go into overdrive because I want to give them the most bang for their buck. And sometimes they're grateful for that because they're like, fuck yeah, I want to do this. Other times they're like, yo, I just left the house for the first time in a week. Relax. I don't need so much, okay? I'm here because I just want to be here. And I think like taking the temperature, not just of, I'm talking about this in the context of mothers who pole, but it's really every student you have. It's like, what are they walking in the door with and what do they want to walk out of the door with? Paying attention to my mothers who pole has been enlightening. Like, I know a lot of moms will say like, oh, there should be a pole class for mothers so we can bring our kids and get to class. And then the other half of my mothers are like, I do not want my kids here. I want some time apart. So it's really, when you ask, you get different answers. But like, what do you, in your experience as a studio owner, like what is it that your mothers who pole need in order to get there and be their best?
Well, I'm a firm believer in teaching an excellent class, right? Because that is what they signed up for. That is what they're coming for. That is what they're expecting. And, as a teacher, as a studio owner, run a tight ship. Like you're saying, like people really worked their butts off to make it there. They have chosen out of all the things that they could be doing with the one spare hour that they have in these 3 days, like they chose to be here. So, if you're an instructor or a studio owner, exactly what you're saying. It's like, make it nice for them. Like start class on time, have a curriculum, uh, have content that you're going to work on with them, and read the room. As you're saying, like, read the room. You have to, a good teacher starts with an idea and a curriculum of something that they want to work on with their class, whether it's to go by, the syllabus of the level or not, or, whether it's, if the teacher is creating their own curriculum. But you have to read the room, and you have to teach the people who are in that room today. Read the room, read the energy, read where we need to be. Should we just start out with a gentle free dance today, guys? Or is today one of those days that, like, we just want to go, like, we want to sweat, we want to go, I would say that working towards goals is just hugely underrated as a healing property. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I always tell my teachers, I have in my program at my studio, it's, there's when a student first comes to us, they must go through Pole 101, a 4-week series, and Pole 102, a 4-week series, before they have access to all the other choreography classes. In those 8 weeks, we can nurture them and create a safe space for them, and really just make sure that they're getting exactly what they need, and the tools they need to create bigger building blocks. Okay, so when I'm training my teachers to teach a 101 and a 102, I'm very, very picky about who I let teach those 2 levels. I like to really have my hands in the 101s and 102s, and then I let my teachers take the intermediates, and then I come in back for the advanced. So it's kind of like a perfect setup. I get the beginners and I get the advanced, and I let my teachers take care of that kind of middle ground. But what I always tell my teachers who teach the 101 and 102s is that every time you teach a 101 or a 102 class, every single person in the room has to feel like they accomplished with flying colors 80 to 90% of what you provided that day. And if they don't, if that's not the case, if they did not, then you're not teaching the right class. They have to be 80 to 90% successful. You have to teach the class that they're going to be 80 to 90% successful. If they're not, then you're giving too much, or you're teaching too much, or you're asking too much of them. Those first 8 weeks, they are feeling like they are given information and they are executing it, and they are killing it, right? Then they want to come back and they execute and kill something. It really, you never underestimate giving the gift to someone of challenge and conquering challenge. So, and that's something I love about pole that I'll never get sick of. I'm not here to be the best or put on the best show. Like, I love to pole jam because I love to see what my body can do. And sometimes that's not going to be right for me. Sometimes on the pole jam, I'll be like, oh, nope, I'm not working on that trick, but hey, this one kind of feels okay. I'm going to follow the path of least resistance. Fine. Like, maybe let pole be the one thing in your life that you're not white knuckling, trying to get that one move when there's 1,000 other ones that you can be working on.
I didn't come here to be personally attacked.
Like, there's no reason to bang your head up against the wall and pole because you've got to get this trick, you got to get that trick. Like, everything that you will ever do in pole will help everything that you will ever do in pole. So
yes.
It's like
that feeling of white knuckling, I think, like, and I've been guilty of doing this. So I'm like, oh, when your students are like, we want more. And I'm like, okay, let's go. And you push them further and further into these awesome tricks, and they love it, but they're racing from trick to trick, not actually spending time with a combo or feeling comfortable in it. They're like, I got it. I got the picture. It's on the gram. What's next? And that
what's
race,
next?
and just like, what's next? Like, I don't care if I'm good at it. I did it. And now I checked it off, and let's go. And I've done that. I've also pushed students to do that and realized, like, this is not the way. But that contributes to that white knuckle feeling. And when you see your students just be like, I can't get this trick. And I'm like, what? Usually, like, my version, I guess my East Coast version of your philosophy is none of this matters. Like, none of it matters. You don't have to be good at this. And no one's ever going to say, like, you have to do this or else. So just remember that you're here for fun. And I think that's something that everyone who walks through the studio is like, oh, wait, I can have fun here. I can do this. And especially my mothers who pole, they all say, I never thought I could do this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? We're all the same, because none of us thought we could do this either, but we're all here. So
Yeah, if you can treat it like play, like I think a lot of people get really caught up in it once, once they're in it. If you can treat it like play, like let it be that the play that you played on the playground when you were a little kid, like an adult play practice. I saw this great quote today, actually. I don't even know where I saw it, somewhere on the social media. And it said something like, can we get rid of the idea that artistically you must be amazing at every hobby you try? Like, you are not a product. You don't you are not a product. You don't need to be monetized. Like,
you don't have
hey,
to monetize your hobbies, and it's okay to be bad
exactly.
at the things you like. You don't have to be good at them to say that you like them. Yeah.
Right.
There's a
Like,
lot of that narrative starting to float to the surface now, because I think people in general, this is where the topic is mothers who pole, but I'm also like, and capitalism, but like people are just
yeah.
getting super burnt out. I mean, thanks to a pandemic, but thanks to the breakneck pace of the life we lead, where we feel like if you're not hustling, you're lazy and you're not doing anything. And when people come to pole and they want to bring that with it, I'm like, why? This is your one oasis away from that.
Exactly. This is the one place that you don't have to live your life that way.
Yes.
So that you're safe.
Totally
you're
agree.
safe not to live it that way here.
Yes.
I tried to, and that's how I tell, like, all, people get really freaked out about, oh, I want to get better. I want to get better. I want to get better. I'm like, okay, well, what do you need? Like, people ask, what is the key to getting better? And I'm like, well, here's the key to getting better. Are you having a good time? Because if you're having a good time, you'll come back. And if you come back, you'll get better.
And that's it.
Just how it works. Like,
right.
There's no like, okay, you have to do this, this, and this to go. Like, no, you just have to keep showing up. You have to do the hard part. The hard part is getting your butt in the door, or getting or starting the Zoom class that you want to take, or turning on the music at home to give yourself a free dance. Like, that's the hard part, is showing up. And if you keep showing up, then you'll get better at pole. That's just how it goes. And the other thing that I love,
I'm gonna play this recording back every night before I go to bed, but I might.
Me too.
Just have that pep talk.
I mean, like, it comes out of my mouth and I'm like, oh, okay, I should probably remember that. No, the other thing that I love to remind students of, that comes up again and again and again, no matter what level, is that they'll come in and they'll say, oh, but it takes me so long to pick up that choreography, or it takes me so long to get that trick, or to do this thing. It takes me longer than everyone else. And I'm like, listen, I have really good news for you. Okay. Here's 2 dancers. Okay. One of them over here, it's going to take a really long time to get that routine, that combo, whatever the teacher's teaching. This student picks it up super quick. Now, with these 2 people, the fact that this person picked it up quicker, this has no correlation to when it is finally picked up, how it is executed or performed. So literally, you could be the person that took so long to get something, and once you have it, you dance it. Like, no one's ever gonna see that reflected in your dancing. Who cares though? Because then if you do pick it up eventually and you dance it, does that mean it's not as good?
There's no banner over your head that says, this took me this long to learn.
Exactly.
Yeah. People expect to be able to get things in a certain amount of time. And that's probably the hardest thing to communicate to students, when they're like, how long should it take me to be able to invert? And I'm like, question mark, however long it takes you,
Yeah, exactly.
And why are you in such a rush, dude? Do you have like someplace else to be? I thought we were doing this for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, I probably could keep you here all day, making you give me a pep talk about my pole career and my business life. But what's next for you in 2022? I don't want to scare it away, but what's ahead?
I know, seriously. Let's walk very, very quietly. Well, we are actually about to do, like, I think it's like our 3rd or our 4th virtual showcase. So we're kind of getting the hang of doing that. It's been kind of fun. I would love to think that in 2022, a big part of my studios in the past have been the showcases, the in-person showcases. I would love to think that maybe in 2022, we can get closer to maybe gathering more people to put on live shows, because I know how much it feeds the students and it feeds the community. So I'd like to see some more of that. As far as for me personally in 2022, I'm just a lover of learning. And if I could set aside, maybe a huge goal for me would be to set aside more time to, for my own personal dance and movement practice. I've always kind of been a seeker of movement. You know, I went from kind of a solo dancer, contemporary, jazz, ballet, modern dancer into a partner dancer, which was great because I remember being able to be a beginner at dance going into partner dance, which is like the coolest thing ever. Like, it's just a completely different world than the solo dance world. And then going from partner dancing to finding pole, and that being this whole new world that I got to be a beginner in. I really love being in that beginner space, like movement that I would love to add to just my experience on this earth before I go would be, I would love to do some study, like do some belly dance studying. I would love to do maybe some capoeira, maybe go back to some partner dancing and learn some like zouk or kizomba and add a couple of partner dances to my repertoire. I mean, what I always say to, you know, also that those beginners, when I'm teaching them those first like basic movements to put together their own routines, is like, dance is a beautiful thing because once someone's given you the tools to build something, like that can never be taken away from you. Like, your body can never unexperience what you have just given it.
I'm dying because you said the same thing in the workshop when you came to see us. And
did I?
yes. And it's awesome because I still remember it. Like, my face just lit up because that was my biggest takeaway from your workshop. So you definitely you walk the walk.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, like, you know, not to be total hippie, I did grow up in NorCal. So, but here's the idea. It's like, we are these souls that have bodies, right? And maybe in other realms, our souls do their thing, but it's only here on earth at this time that we get this body. So why not, while we're here on earth, allow our bodies to experience the sensory experience? I mean, what a beautiful thing to have done something on earth that it has to do with dance and music and moving your body and all the things that your body can give back to you in whatever form that is. So yeah, you know, I just think, like, if, for example, if I was to get that chance to do there's a couple of teachers, belly dance teachers in this area that I'm like really excited, I would love to study with. If I could take like one like belly dance class a week, or, you know, go to a zouk jam like once a month, like this is what I get excited about when it comes to the future, 2022 or whatever, to just get that in my body, because then it's so cool. Like, you'll see it come out in any movement I do. It's not, you can't take that away once a body has really tried it on. It's like, you know, I talk about like pole tricks or pole choreography, like clothes to try on. You know, you're not going to go to the store, take all these things into the dressing room and look bomb ass diggity in every single outfit. Like, some stuff's not going to fit right. And you don't go like, man, I suck for not looking cute in that. Like, no, you're going to be like, not for me. What about this one though? This one's kind of cute. And it feels good. Do you know what I mean? Like, then rock that one. Like, it's all just a bunch of stuff that we're trying on. Like, don't have to conform to fit into like one piece of, you know, one piece of clothing or one piece of style or one piece of this or that or whatever. So, yeah, I look forward to being a student more. That would just really feed my soul. If I could just move, learn, and do that with friends for the rest of my life, like for as long as I can, then that's big goals for me for sure.
Well, you've said it, so it's out there and it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It has to. We're long overdue, so it has to. Well, thank you so much. And I really appreciate your time. And I know that a lot of people are going to resonate with the things you've said. And I hope if they get anything out of this, it is there are seasons and just learn and do your best. But I love that idea, especially of being, I obviously suck at recaps. So I'm going to hope that in 2022, I do a better recap at the end. But I also love the idea of the beginner mindset. Like being a beginner is one of the best places to be because you soak it all up like a sponge. And I'm just really grateful that we have it on the record now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much for having me. It's super fun to chat about it.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.